Alright, I'm going to show you guys some of the quadrant model, some of my books. This is book one. It's about 200 pages. I'm just going to show you the introduction of this book, and then I plan to show you some of my books that are just on specific topics like physics and chemistry and biology and literature and all those topics. So this one, I begin the book talking about the tetragrammaton, how it's 4 letters, Y, H, W, and H. How the Y is supposed to, according to Kabbalah, is supposed to represent creation. The H is the sustaining of the creation. The W is the creativity or action. And then the H is transformation. So the first square is always related to, the first square is always the least physical, it's most ethereal, so it's kind of like air. The second square is always kind of a in between physical and ethereal, it's kind of like water. And then the third square is always the most physical, which is like earth. And then the fourth square is always transcendent, which is like fire. Those are the 4 elements. So we have the fourfold Om. The A is supposed to represent Brahma and creation. The U is supposed to represent Vishnu and sustaining of the creation. The second square is always homeostasis. The third square is M, which is Shiva, destruction. The third square is always action oriented, and it always has a quality of being destructive or bad. And then according to Mandukya Upanishad, there's a 4th aspect to the Om. A lot of people think there's only 3 aspects because there's 3 letters, but according to the Mandukya Upanishad, there's a 4th part, which is the silence that surrounds the first 3 letters. The Muslims worship Allah, and a lot of people think that Allah is spelled A-L-A-H, and it is spelled that way in English, but in Arabic, it's spelled A-L-H. And those letters make a 3+1 pattern because the way that it's spelled is A-L-L are written together, and then the H is written separate. Empedocles said that there are 4 primordial gods, and he related those 4 gods to the 4 elements. So Zeus is related to air, which is hot and wet. So you get 4 qualities: hot, cold, wet, and dry. And with those 4 qualities, you're going to get 4 types. So we got Poseidon, which is water, which is cold and wet. We have Hera, which is earth, and earth is cold and dry. And Hades, which is related to the element fire, and fire is hot and dry. Those are the 4 primordial gods according to Empedocles. The 4 phases of matter are gas, liquid, solid, plasma. Remember, the first one's always kind of ethereal. The second one's a mixture. It's not yet solid, but it's on its way to solid. The third one is physical, the most physical. And the 4th one's transcendent. Plasma apparently is ionized matter, whatever that means. Then we have, so these are the 4 classical phases of matter. Now, some people say that there's a 5th, the Bose-Einstein condensate, but you have to make that in a laboratory. These 4 are natural, so these are the classical 4 phases of matter. Jung described the quaternity. So Christians often, believe in the Trinity, but according to Jung, there's a 4th aspect. So Jung said that every trinity is an incomplete quaternity. It's a deficient quaternity, that the 3 is always wanting to make its way to 4. Now, Wolfgang Pauli is a physicist who also subscribed to that idea, because originally there were 3 quantum numbers, and Pauli's one of the founders of quantum mechanics, and he said, actually, there should be a 4th. And then he dialogued with Jung, and he noticed that his greatest achievement was moving from the number 3 to the number 4, moving from trinity to quaternity. Here's a tetrachus. This is what the Greeks worshipped. The Pythagoreans worshipped the tetrachus. In order to become a Pythagorean, you had to swear an oath to the tetrachus, and the tetrachus was called that which created existence. Everything flowed from the tetrachus according to Pythagoras. And the tetrachus is 4 rows of dots. 1 dot, 2 dots, 3 dots, 4. making 10 in all, making a decad, but it's 4 rows. Now, Proclus was a famous philosopher who made a commentary on Plato's works. One of his commentaries was on Plato's Timaeus, and in the Timaeus, Proclus mentions how in the Timaeus, Plato has Socrates say to his friends, 1, 2, 3, but where's the fourth? So he's talking to 3 of his friends. He says, there's 3 of you, but where's the fourth? And Proclus says that this was a code, and that Plato through Socrates was alluding to the Tetrachus. Because according to Proclus, the Tetrachus, there's 3 rows that are similar, but the 4th row is different. Again, we're seeing that 3+1 pattern, which is foundational to the quadrant model. The way that I discovered the quadrant model was my grandpa told me about personality model where there were thinkers, emotional people, doers, and dreamers. I thought about this model and I thought, okay, thinking, emotion, that's a duality. Thoughts affect emotions, emotions affect thoughts. Again, thinking is more ethereal, emotion, it's not yet action oriented, but it's getting there. Then we have doing. So I thought, okay, now we have a trinity because our emotions cause us to do things. We do things, this affects our thoughts. These all influence each other. So I thought these are all, connected. So we have a trinity here, and then a triad. And then I thought, okay, dreaming. My grandpa said he thought I was a dreamer, but I thought, dreaming didn't seem to fit with the other 3. And I thought, I'm thinking I'm probably a doer, because I play basketball, or I'm a thinker because I think a lot. But, why would you say that I'm a dreamer? Dreaming just seems so different than the other 3. It kind of seems weird even. So I thought that dreaming didn't belong. So I thought, why is there 4 types and not 3 types of people? Thinking, emotional people, and doers. Why do we have to add the 4th? Then I had the realization, wait, when we dream, we have thoughts, we have emotions, and we do things, but we're disconnected from our body. We're paralyzed during the dreams, so we don't physically act out the dreams. And there's a different quality to our thoughts and emotions. So I thought, okay, dreaming is separate, but it contains the previous 3. And then that's when I started thinking of other examples of this. So earlier that week, I was thinking about a lecture series that I watched that my other grandpa had given me a lecture series on physics. And in the series, they're talking about the 4 forces: the strong nuclear force, the weak nuclear force, electromagnetism, and gravity. And I thought, okay, well, we have the duality, strong nuclear force, weak nuclear force. That's a duality, like thinking, emotion. Then electromagnetism, that's the most physical oriented one. And then we have gravity, which is separate from the previous 3, because according to the professor that I listened to from the lecture series, the big dilemma is that the big problem is that they can't combine gravity with the first 3 forces. Gravity doesn't seem to belong. It doesn't seem to fit. It's because it's so different. So we have that 3+1 pattern. Then we have the 4 blood types: A, B, and then O. O blood types can go within the previous 3, so it's separate, but it contains the previous 3. Then we have the 4 DNA nucleobases: A, C, G, and T. Then we have the 4. This is a Punnett square, a dihybrid cross. In biology, this is what's used in genetics. I remember the day after I discovered the quadrant model, I went to my biology class, and this is what the professor put on the board. The dihybrid cross, the quadrant. So that's all I'll talk about right now, and then the next lecture I'll talk about maybe physics or just some other topic.